All right. So what I call this is Ruth the Moabitess, because in the book of Ruth, it actually calls her a Moabitess. But we'll go through that as well. Now, Ruth the Moabitess is not a Moabitess by blood. You know what I'm saying? I know, right? All right, so let's start from Ruth chapter 1. Chapter 1 and verse 1. Um, and what do I want? I want Shah Shabbat sis. Uh, oh yeah. Okay. So Ruth chapter 1, verse 1 says now, hold on, select it. Uh yeah. Ruth chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his two sons. The first line says, now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled. There's your time frame right there. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 16 and 18.
Con.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 18 says, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. Right? So the book of Ruth is during the time of judges. You see what I'm saying? That's it's a very important piece of understanding the history of Ruth, right? It's during the time of judges. Um, what I say before. In the book of Psalms 82 and 6, right? It says that we are gods, right? And I'm kind of just jumping around a little bit just to put y'all ahead of where this is going. Book of Psalms, chapter 82, verse 6 says, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, right? A lot of people will say that Psalms is law because of that, and Yahweh Shai quotes it in the book of John, right? But the actual law for it is Exodus 22 and 28. Yeah, 22 and 28. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people, right? So this is very important because this is during the time of Judges in the book of Ruth. Let's see if it says what I wanted to say. No, we'll go. Psalms 82 and 6. Ye are gods, rulers, or judges. That's the first outline of biblical uses, right? So we're in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verse 1. So this is during the time of Judges. So in that time, We had judges who, you know, uh, ruled over each tribe in Israel. So that's very important when we're reading Ruth. It's very important. All right. Verse 2, Ruth chapter 1 and verse 2. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the name of his two sons Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. All right. Now let's go to some history of this. All right. Let's go to the book of Numbers and we'll start at chapter 21. And we'll go to verse 4. Book of Numbers, chapter 21. And I'm going to kind of bounce around in this, right? And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. So when we look at a map, right? We look at a map, we go around, that's not a good map. Uh, uh, if I get y'all some better images, this should be all right. Okay, so when we're going through this, right, in the book of Numbers, we're coming around Edom. Remember, Edom didn't want us to pass through. So we're going all the way around. Okay. That's why Israel was discouraged. Okay. Let's go back to the book of Numbers 21 and 11. And they journeyed from Oboth and pitched at I don't know, Ijah Baram in the wilderness, which is before Moab, toward the sun rising. So, like I said, they went around. Now they're on the east, right? Verse 13. From thence they removed and pitched on the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that cometh out of the coast of the Amorites. For Arnon is the border of Moab between Moab and the Amorites. Okay, if we look at this map, does that have it? No. I'll leave that. Okay. mm, that's retarded. What kind of stuff is that? Okay, there we go. All right. So you have Moab. You have us going around Edom, up around to Moab, to what is called the Arnon River, the border of the Amorites, right? This right here. So you have the Amorites right here, and you have Moab right here. Let's see this other map. Okay, so this is what it looks like. At one point in time, all of this was Moab, not just to the Arnon River. Okay, the Arnon River was the border, right? So it's the history is going to explain how this happened. But here's you have the Arnon River right here, if you guys can see the cursor. So you got the Arnon River right here. And then you have Moab, Edom underneath. And this is going into a little bit further, right? All right. So yep, that was verse 13, right? So between Moab and the Amorites, which is the Arnon River, that's what splits them. Okay. Let's jump down to verse 21. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well, but we will go along by the king's highway until we pass thy borders. This map doesn't show it, but the king's highway runs through like this. You see, runs like right along the edge next to the Ammonites, which is over here. Runs like right over here. That's the king's highway. So this is what they're asking to do, right? Um, verse 23. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his borders, but Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel into the wilderness. And he came back to Jahaz and fought against Israel. And Israel smote him with the edge of the sword and possessed the land of Arnon unto Jabbok. Arnon unto Jabbok. This is the Jabbok right here. So Israel prevailed against the Amorites, right? The Amorites took this part of the land from Moab. Remember, like I said, all of this used to be Moab, but the Amorites went to war with them, and they was able to take this from the border of Arnon all the way to Jabbok. Now the Amorites went to war against Israel. Israel prevailed from Arnon to Jabbok. This is why in this map you see that this is the land of Reuben, right? Verse 24 again. Israel smote him with the edge of the sword and possessed his land from the Arnon unto Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon. Remember, like I said, Ammon is on the more east side of that land. For the border of the children of Ammon was strong. Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in the villages thereof. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnon. See, so right there you see the history of what's going on, right? Like I said, the Amorites took the land from the Moab. This is how you know all this was Moab. But the Amorites came and took this part from Moab. But then Israel came and took this part from the Amorites, right? Verse 29. Woe to thee, Moab! Thou art undone, O people of Chemosh. He hath given his sons that escaped and his daughters into captivity unto Sihon, king of the Amorites. When the Amorites defeated Moab, they had some people in captivity. Some of them went back into the actual lower land south of the Arnon River to Moab, right? Let's see. Let's go to Numbers chapter 22 and verse 1. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on this side Jordan by Jericho. This is a big part of this lesson. So now Israel takes over, right? Israel takes over from the Amorites, from the Arnon to Jabbok. Then Israel takes over up here. You see what I'm saying? But they pitch in the plains of Moab. See this right here? This right here is called the plains of Moab, but this is no longer the land of Moab or the Amorites. But this area is still called the plains of Moab. That is very important. All right. Verse 3. And Moab was sore afraid of the people because they were many. And Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. So they think that we're going to come down to take the actual land of Moab since we took all this land. Shalom, Jay. Yeah, I'm touching on this again. All right. So they think that we're going to take it from them. So they were afraid because they seen what we did to the Amorites. Right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 2. I think it's chapter 2 that I want. Mm, okay. This is just going into us taking the land, right? This is a big portion too, because like I said, when we took the land from the Amorites, there's still some Moabites in this land, right? Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 32. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Jahaz. And the Lord our God delivered him before us, and we smote him and his sons and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time and utterly destroyed the men and the women and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. So any Moabites that Sihon had captive, any Amorites that were in this land, we utterly destroyed everyone in every city, women, children, and men, everyone. So now this land is now Israel. But this area is still called the Plains of Moab, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 1. 1 through 8. Okay. Verse 1. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us, he and his people, to battle at Edrei. That's up here. This is going north. Now we're going north, right? This is why this map doesn't just show you that the land that we took from the Amorites, it shows you further up because now we're moving. Now we're moving up, right? Verse 2. And the Lord said unto me, fear him not, for I will deliver him and all his people and his land into thy hand. And thou shalt do unto him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So the Lord our God delivered into our hands Og also, the king of Bashan, and all his people. And we smote him until none was left to him remaining. So the same thing that we did to the Amorites, killed everyone in that land, is the same thing we did to Og. And we took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we took not from them. 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls, gates, bars, beside unwalled towns, and a great many. And we utterly destroyed them, as we did unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children of every city. But all the cattle and the spoil of the city we took for a prey to ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the two kings of the Amorites the land that was on this side Jordan, from the river Arnon unto Mount Hermon. Right? Um, there we go. Zoom this in a little bit. So this is, like I said, this is why this map goes all the way up here, right? From the Arnon all the way up to Mount Hermon. This now becomes ours. Okay. Now let's go to Book of Numbers, chapter 32. Chapter 32 and verse 1. Book of Numbers 32 and 1. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and the king, Salaki. Now I click on it. All right. Now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of cattle. And when they saw the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead, that behold, the place was a place for cattle. The children of Gad, the children of Reuben came and spake unto Moses and to Eleazar the priest, and unto the princes of the congregation, saying, Ataroth, and Debon, and Jezer, and Nimrah, and Heshbon, and Ele, I don't know how to say that. Leah, and Shabam, and Nebo, and beyond. Even the country which the Lord smote before the congregation of Israel is a land for cattle, and thy servants have cattle. Wherefore, said they, if we have found grace in thy sight, let this land be given unto thy servants for possession, and bring us not over Jordan. So this is how we possess this land. They asked for it. Since we conquered this land, they asked for it. Remember, we're going to this land originally, the land of Canaan. That's what we're taking. That's what was said for us. But since the Most High gave us this to conquer, Moses and the priests and stuff like that, they granted us this land when we asked for it, right? So that's why it says Israel territory, right? That's why the land is split like this: Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. You see what I'm saying? Remember, they asked all the way up to Asherah, Jezer, Jezer, Jazer, however you say that, all the way down to Debon. You see what I'm saying? All the way from the Arnon River, all the way up to Mount Hermon. We asked for that land, and those three tribes split. Okay. No, back to Numbers 32. Let's drop down to verse 19. For we will not inherit with them on yonder side Jordan or forward, because our inheritance is fallen to us on this side Jordan eastward. We're supposed to be on that side, on the west side of the Jordan in the land of Canaan, but they were granted this land. Right? Let's drop down to verse 33. And Moses gave unto them even to the children of Gad, to the children of Reuben, unto the half tribe Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the land, with the cities thereof in the coast, even the cities of the country round about. So not only did they get those cities, like I named Debon, Adaroth, Jazer, all that stuff, they got that land, you see? All right. Let's go here first. Let's go to the book of Judges. Let's go to the book of Judges, chapter 11. And I'll start at verse 4. All right. And it came to pass in process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Israel. Remember, Ammon is on the east side of this land now. Okay. So where you see this brown area, like right on the edge of this map, next to Reuben and Gad and Manasseh, that's the land, that's Ammon. So now they want to come make war with Israel in this land. All right. Like I said, this history is a big part to see what is going on in this land, right? They came to make war. Okay, verse 5. And it was so that when the children of Ammon made war against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah out of the land of Tob. So Jephthah is in this land. I can't see. They don't have it, but he's in this land. Okay, in the land of Reuben. He's in that land. So the elders came and grabbed him, right? Let's drop down to verse 12. And Jephthah sent messengers unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, what hast thou to do with me, that thou art come against me to fight in my land? And the king of the children of Ammon answered unto the messengers of Jephthah, because Israel took away my land when they came up out of Egypt from Arnon even unto Jabbok and unto the Jordan. Now therefore restore those lands again peaceably. And Jephthah sent messengers again unto the king of the children of Ammon. All right, so Ammonites are saying that we stole the land from them. That wasn't true, right? Remember, the Amorites conquered that part of Moab, and then we conquered the Amorites and went north and conquered the Og, king of Bashan, so on and so forth, right? It wasn't the Ammonites land, right? Verse 15. And said unto him, thus said Jephthah, Israel took not away the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon. See that? Let's go to verse 26. While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and her towns, and in Auror and her towns, and in all the cities that be along by the coast of Arnon, 300 years. Why therefore did ye not recover them within that time? So now, this land that we took, we've been in it for 300 years, right? We know Jephthah is in the book of Judges, right? The time of Ruth is in the book of Judges. Not in the book of Judges, but it's the same time as the Judges, when the Judges ruled, right? We had possessed this land 300 years. Remember, we killed everybody. You see that? Let's go back to Ruth chapter 1, verse 4. Mm. Wait a minute, let me see something. See if this is what I want real quick. My notes are like real sloppy, you know. You want to look at them? Yeah, I'd be at work taking notes, you know what I'm saying? On these little notepads. No, well, I'll go there, but not yet. Mm, no. Okay, I'll wait on that. Okay, let's go to Ruth chapter 1, verse 4. So Naomi and her husband is in the land of Moab, right? Or in the country of Moab. All right. So the definition in the Hebrew is sad, sadeh, sadeh, right? Which means field or land. This is the country of Moab. Cultivated field, home of wild beasts, plains. This is very important. It's the plains. If you've seen on this map, right? Remember, like I said, we took all this land, right? But you have the plains of Moab. You see, all this is the plains of Moab. All this, right? This is still called the plains of Moab, even though we possess their land. So we now we're in this country, right? Verse 4, and they took them wives of the women of Moab. If you go into this, the women of Moab, women of Moab, says a citizen of Moab, inhabitant of the land of Moab. Moabite from father, what father, right? So when it's being used right here on the biblical usage, women of Moab, it is a citizen or inhabitor of the land. Remember, just like you've seen in the plains of, we still have the plains of Moab in the land of Reuben. You see what I'm saying? If you go here, um, Isaiah 16 and 2. Isaiah 16 and 2 says, for it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. Daughters of Moab. It didn't call them the women of Moab, it called them the daughters, right? Uh, young women, designation of women of particular place, daughter, girl, adopted daughter, daughter-in-law, sister, granddaughter, female. You see that? So this is actually a person from Moab. You know, this would be an actual Moabite. The other one, the women of Moab, was an inhabitor or a person that comes from that land. See that? That's the difference in what it's saying in Ruth, right? So, and back to Ruth chapter 1, verse 4. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. So Naomi and her sons lived there for like 10 years, right? Now we'll go to the verse that I want real fast. Let's go to let me see if this is really necessary. Okay. Yeah, this just kind of shows you the area. So this Numbers 21 and verse 17 through 20 says, then Israel sang this song, spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. The princes digged the well, the nobles of the people digged it by the direction of the lawgiver with their staves. And from the wilderness, they went to Matana, and from Matana to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth into the valley. This is in the country of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looketh toward Jeshimon. You see that Naliel to Bamoth. Here's Bamoth right here. See what I'm saying? Here's Bamoth. Here's Pisgah. You see that? So they dug the wells in these areas in the plains of Moab, which we just seen in Numbers, that this is the country of Moab. We didn't mess with the actual land of Moab. We messed with the country of Moab. Uh, Sisamina, you from the country, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is what this is speaking of. This is the country of that land where they dig wells. It's wilderness. It's they can raise cattle, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? That is in the country of Moab, and it gives you the land or it gives you the cities there, which is in the plains of Moab. That is the country. You see that? Let's go to Deuteronomy 34 and verse 5. When I first learned about this and seen a class on this and then studied deeper and deeper into this with like Sergeant Sakaria and, Elder Zahab and stuff like that, everything just became more clear. You know what I mean? Once you dig into the history of everything coming about, right? So this is Deuteronomy 34 and 5. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab. Was it that physical land, that Moab still possessed, according to the word of the Lord? Let's drop down to verse 8. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. See that? So even in Ruth, even on the map, even in Deuteronomy, when Moses died in the land of Moab, the people are mourning in the plains of Moab, not the actual country below the Arnon River. They're in the plains, which is called the country. You see what I'm saying? Let's go back to Ruth chapter 1, and let's go to verse 6. Then she wrote, so Naomi's sons died, right? Now her daughters in laws are widows. Naomi tells them to go back to their place, their land, their country, right? Then she arose with her daughters in law that she might return from the country of Moab. We already seen what the country of Moab is. It is in the plains of Moab, still in the land of Ruth. For she had heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters in law with her. And they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. Like I said, that's an important part. Remember, Naomi comes from Bethlehem, Judah, right? So Naomi is going back to her land. She has no more sons, she has no husband. So Naomi wants to return to her land in Judah, right? That's on the other side of Jordan, right? So she wants to return there. Verse 8. And Naomi said unto her two daughters in law, go return each to your mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you in the house of your husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, surely we will return with thee unto thy people. This is what used to stumble me. You see what I'm saying? But the reason they're saying unto thy people is Naomi is a Judite. You see what I'm saying? They come from the plains of Moab. So they can possibly be Reuben, Gad, or Manasseh. It doesn't say specifically what Ruth is. You see what I'm saying? It just tells you she's from the land of Moab. She's from the country of Moab, which we know is the plains now, because we didn't mess with the country of Moab. We didn't mess with them. The Most High said to leave this part of Moab alone because he left it to Lot. You see what I'm saying? So the plains of Moab is what they're talking about, right? And Salak. And Naomi wants to go back over here on this side of the Jordan to Judah. That's all that's happening right here, right? Verse 11. Let me see something real quick. Mm. Oh, no, no, that's not. Okay. Verse 11. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? And there get any more sons in thy womb, that they may be your husbands. Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and also shall bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they were grown? So Naomi's like, I'm too old. Even if I have a child, even if I get pregnant right now, are you gonna wait for that child to get grown so you can marry that child? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. Would ye tarry for them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sake that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. So Ruth stuck with her. Her sister went back to the plains of Moab, right? And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. This also tripped me up, unto her gods. Now, we read about that from verse 1, right? The time that this is going on is the time of the judges. And we already seen in Psalms 82, just to recap, the gods that it's referring to is rulers or judges. Remember, every tribe has rulers and judges. Ruth is during the time of the judges. You see what I'm saying? They've been in this land for 300 years. We wiped out every other person there. So how long has Israel been in this land by themselves? 300 years. You see what I'm saying? Around 300 years. So when her sister is speaking of rulers or uh not rulers, when her sister is speaking, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. They're speaking of the rulers and the judges that's there. Every tribe has them. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. Verse 16. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from the following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Ruth is telling Naomi the same thing. If she goes to Judah, she is now under the judges and rulers of Judah. The Judites now become Ruth's people. That's all she's saying, because, like I said, Ruth is probably not a Judite. She's probably a Reubenite or Gadite or from Manasseh. You see what I'm saying? Because she's from this area. You know what I mean? Verse 17. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. So they two went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass when they were come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them, and they said, Is this Naomi? And she said unto them, Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me home again empty. Why then call ye me Naomi, seeing the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty hath afflicted me? Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. It calls Ruth the Moabitess, right? If you go to the definition, citizen of Moab, inhabitant of the land of Moab, right? That also kind of tripped me up because when you look at a Moabite or an Israelite, it is descendant of. You see what I'm saying? But the biblical usage in this sense is referring to her being a citizen or in the land of, in which case we know that that land or country of was referring to the plains of Moab. He wasn't from below the Arnon River. He was from this land right here, right? Now, when you go even further to like what do I want? When you go even further, right? Into like chapter 2, and I think I want verse 8. So now we know that Ruth is cleaving to Naomi. She meets Boaz, which is Naomi's brother-in-law, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm right about that, right, Jay?
Salaki, can you repeat that? I was looking at another point in that study.
Boaz is Ruth's brother-in-law, huh? I mean, not Ruth,
Uh,
Naomi. Naomi.
It
correct.
was Naomi's husband, right? It's Lucky.
No, not
No, Naomi's husband died.
I
right.
know, but I'm talking about Boaz.
Yeah, Boaz was Naomi's brother-in-law.
Yeah,
I believe you're correct. I'll double check that
yeah.
while you keep going.
Okay.
I always thought it was her husband. Yeah. So it was her
No,
brother-in-law.
yeah, it was her brother-in-law because
Yeah,
her
her
husband
husband's
died
brother.
in the land of Moab, remember?
Yeah, but I'm saying that was his relative, right?
Yeah,
Boaz
that was
is.
his brother. Yeah, Boaz was her husband's brother, I believe.
That's
All
right.
right. So Ruth chapter 2, verse 8. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have not I charged the young men that they should not touch thee? So Boaz is following the law, right? He's because there's a reason why he's telling other young men not to touch Ruth. You see? And when thou art athirst, go unto the vessel and drink of that which the young men have drawn. She fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? Remember, a stranger can be an Israelite in a different land. You know what I'm saying? Remember, we're called strangers if we're not born in the land and we go back to Jerusalem for the feast, you're a stranger. Verse 11. Come. Right. Yep. So yeah, he's related to her husband. I believe he was her brother-in-law. It calls him his kinsman. Verse 11. And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knowest not heretofore. You see, so left the land of her nativity. Like I said, she could be a Reubenite, Gadite, so on and so forth. She's just from the plains of Moab. Now, the reason, there's a reason that Boaz is going about it in this way, right? Now, her and Boaz end up getting married. I won't go to that verse, it's in chapter 3. So, her and Boaz end up getting married, so on and so forth, right? So, like, all right. Now, let's go to this. Okay. Numbers chapter 27 and verse 8. Numbers chapter 27 and verse 8. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a man die and have no sons, then he shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughter. And if he have no daughter, then he shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. And if he have no brethren, then he shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. And if his father have no brethren, then he shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman that is next to him of his family, and he shall possess it. And it shall be unto the children of Israel a statute of judgment, as the Lord commanded Moses. So why I went there is because Boaz is not the nearest kinsman. This is why he was holding off on marrying Ruth. Okay, he's not the nearest kinsman. All right, and her. He's not Ruth's husband's brother. Can you find that law for me, Jay? Uh, you know what I'm talking about, right? The
Uh,
the spit in the
oh,
face.
the spit in the face. Okay, I'll find it.
All right. So it goes to the nearest kinsman. And you know what? Let's just go to it. This is Ruth chapter 3 and verse 12 and 13. And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman, right? Because the other man didn't take Ruth. The closer kinsman didn't take Ruth. You see, he's a kinsman, but Boaz is pushing it off because he knows he's not the nearest kinsman. Howbeit there is a kinsman's nearer than I. We just seen in Numbers that it's an order of how the kinsmanship goes when it comes to these things: inheritance, marriage, so on and so forth. The water J. All right. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of the kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down unto the morning. So Boaz knew there's a closer kinsman. He tried to get that person to be with Ruth. But if that person doesn't take her, then Boaz will marry her. Boaz is following the law, right? If he's not following the law, if he's following the law, she can't be a Moabite by blood. You see what I'm saying? She can't be that. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 3. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. Right? Not saying that if she was a Moabite by blood, that her marrying an Israelite puts her in the congregation. It still wouldn't put her in the congregation of the Lord. All right. But we are not to marry these other nations. So with this law and with Boaz following the law, she cannot be a Moabite by blood. You see what I'm saying? And Jay gave me that. Jay just found that one scripture that I wanted. Boom. So this is how you know that Boaz was not her husband's brother, because according to the law, Ruth would be able to do certain things. This is Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse 9. Then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoes from his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. Remember, the law is if your brother dies and he has no children, the brother is supposed to give that wife children for the brother's sake that dies. You see what I'm saying? And if he doesn't, she can loose his shoes and spit in his face because he's not doing his brotherly duty. So Boaz is a near kinsman. You see what I'm saying? And Boaz is following the law because he wants her to be able to be with kinsmen that's closer. But if she can't, then he'll take her. You see? So when we go back to chapter 1, like I said, because I think chapter 1 is the most trip up. This is the time of the judges. When she says, your people will be my people, it's because she is not a Judite. When she says, your gods will be my gods, your judges or your rulers will be my judges and rulers. Her being a Moabitess is speaking of her being from the country or a citizen of that place, which we see from the map. There's still the plains of Moab in the land of Reuben. And we have been in this land for 300 years, according to Japheth. Khan?
Salaki, Mike, can you go back up to verse 16?
Which one?
Ruth 1 and 16.
Khan. Ruth chapter 1, verse 16. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God.
Okay, just another point to that, where it says, thy people shall be my people. In the original text, it doesn't say that.
It
Did you go
doesn't.
over that already?
I didn't, but I
Okay.
didn't even think about it. Shall be is in italics.
Khan.
See what I'm saying? We know that italics means that it's added in. So really it reads, thy people, my people. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, she's from the plains of Moab. She has options of who she can be. Reuben, Gad, or Manasseh, right? Judah is not her people. Naomi took her back to Judah. See what I'm saying? That's the thing that kind of be overlooked. You see what I'm saying? Those aren't her people. You know what I mean? And
All
with
right,
that,
I
go
just
ahead,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
point that part out real quick because once it says shall be, a lot of people think like she's like grafting herself into the Israelite family tree, and it's not.
Oh,
She's like how you saying she's just making a difference in the tribe. Your tribe shall be my tribe now. Like I'm part of you guys.
uh, uh, uh. That's a good point. I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that. All right. If everyone has an understanding, say con, and then I'll end the recording and I will leave the floor open.
Con.
Con, all praises, all praises, all praises. All right.
I did have a question.
You have a question?
Con.
Go ahead.
During excuse me, During the time of Judges, would you say that was wartime?
Judges, it's not the whole thing is not necessarily wartime.
Not the whole thing.
A lot of Judges shows us um, falling into idolatry, and then the Most High would send a ruler or a judge to tell us, and then we'll repent, and then come back to the Most High, so on and so forth, and we'll do it like over and over and over and over. You
Okay.
see what I'm saying?
The only reason I ask that is because if we follow the logic that Boaz was following law when he was like, I'm gonna go to your next of kin. If Ruth was a true Moabite by nativity, she would have been taken during the time of war, but that was 300 years ago. But even if it was wartime, he would have had to shave her and go slaughter her brothers and all of that because clearly he's following law.
Yeah, I mean,
And
well,
he doesn't
this
say anything like that to
well, this wasn't time of war,
them. Okay.
so there's different wars in there, but this is not mentioning that this is any time of war. You see what I'm saying? The time that's going on in the time of Ruth, there was a famine. You see what I'm saying? There was a famine. So this is why like Naomi ended up in the plains of Moab. This is why certain stuff was going on. You see what I'm saying? But even then, if she was a Moabite by blood, Boaz wouldn't be able to take her. You see what I'm saying? During the time of war, yes, there's certain things that she would have to do in order to be Boaz's wife if it was time of war. But if this is not a time of war, he can't take her anywhere.
All
Huh?
right.
All right, let me stop the recording and I will leave the floor open. All praises that y'all gotta understand. Oh, you got another question? Go ahead, sis.
So didn't they kill everybody of Moab though that was in that part of the land, right?
They killed everyone in the land. Everyone. Amorites, whoever was there, they killed in every city, you know what I'm saying, in every place.
Con. So
Men,
if
women, and children.
so if they killed everyone in that city, even in the plains and everything, that means she can't be a Moabite because her
Con,
people would have died. Like they wouldn't have left her to live.
right.
Con.
So,
Okay.
and the,
Okay.
con. And the thing is, them being there 300 years possessing that land, even if they left one, you know what I'm saying, like one woman or something, even if they left women, you see what I'm saying, she still wouldn't be a Moabite, especially not after no 300 years. You see what I'm saying? So, but no, yeah, but we killed men, women, and children. So it doesn't matter. Anyone who wasn't Israel in those lands, we killed everyone. You see what I'm saying? So, and then, like I said, when we seen Jephthah, we had been there 300 years. You see what I'm saying? Because, like I said, remember, Ruth is during the time of Judges. See, so she can't be a Moabite by blood.
And then the other thing that's like a good point too is that if Christ comes through that line, if she was a Moabite by blood, that would make him born into sin, which he couldn't be the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, yeah, because from Boaz comes David, so on and so forth. So his blood would be impure, so to speak. So she can't be, you know. All right, now I'll stop it and leave it open. Unless y'all got another question.
We are.
All right.